This has been Mycellus from the MeidasTouch network. Donald Trump's failing social media company, Truth Social, does what failing social media companies do, or anything that Donald Trump touches, which is fail. And that is they failed to secure the trademark to the name Truth Social. Yes, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has officially denied the application request by Truth Social to call themselves Truth Social. And why is that? It's because there are other companies that are named Truth Social that are in the digital media space. There's a company called Vero, True Social, and another company called Truth Networks, which are already existing media companies in the same category which Truth Social petitioned to use that name. So what does this mean? Well, you have the opportunity, of course, to appeal the determination by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So I assume Truth Social and Trump are going to do that. But what this means is that there's a likelihood that Truth Social won't be able to call itself Truth Social, or if it continues to call itself that, it will be sued or could be sued potentially by these other entities. Vero, True Social, and Truth Networks could sue them and stop Truth Social from using their name. Now, if you're starting a company, what you would normally do is you would have a trademark attorney or an IP attorney conduct a search to see if other companies are using that name before you call yourself a specific name like Truth Social, because you would want to minimize the exposure that you may have to change your name or that you can't use the name that you've selected. But that either didn't happen here, or Trump and Truth Social simply didn't care and called itself Truth Social without running the search. Now, one of the other things that I could just point out generally is in the United States, the way trademark law is what's called a prior use state. So whether you have a trademark or not, the company's prior use of a mark could be used to establish that the company would own that mark or would be using that mark in commerce. So you don't have to trademark it, but trademark gives notice to the world. But in any event, Truth Social would not have prior use, nor was Truth Social trademark, and Truth Social should have had notice of all these other companies using that name because these other companies had filed for trademarks. And this is just one of a number of reasons that Truth Social is failing. We've learned also that Truth Social may be insolvent or becoming insolvent. As of March, they stopped paying the bills for their network hosting service. A company called Right Forge hasn't been paid to the tune of about $1.8 million. Truth Social has stiffed their main vendor of any payment. So there's that. And then we have the Department of Justice conducting a criminal investigation into Truth Social and the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, the SPAC, which is called Digital World Acquisition Company, which announced that it was merging with Truth Social. And the investigation by the Department of Justice is into conversations that may have taken place prior to Digital World Acquisition Company announcing it was a SPAC, conversations with Digital World Acquisition Company and Trump or Trump's representatives at that time. When we hear the word SPAC, people go, oh, what's a SPAC? A SPAC is a special purpose acquisition company. It's one of the ways that you can take a company public or take a private company public. The other way, of course, you're probably more familiar with is an IPO. And because a special purpose acquisition company is a more expedited way to take a private company public, sometimes SPACs are called a blank check company. And what the purpose is that outside investors essentially give this SPAC, which is basically a holding company, a blank check. That's why SPACs are sometimes referred to as blank check companies. And usually the SPAC's supposed to have a team of like highly qualified, very sophisticated investors. They take the blank check that investors give them and they go out there to try to find a deal of private companies to bring public. And they eventually try to find a private company to bring public. But because they're getting this blank check from private investors, the SPAC is not allowed to have conversations with potential targets that it intends to merge with prior to the announcement of the SPAC. And one of the things the DOJ is investigating is if there were these prior conversations with Trump or Trump's representatives, because there was no such thing as Truth Social really before Digital World Acquisition Company was even announced. Now, normally a SPAC will merge into an existing company, like a company that actually has revenue and projections and past revenue to base future revenue projections on, and EBITDA, financials that you could look at. But this Truth Social didn't even exist at the time. So one of the things they're looking into is that. The other thing they're looking into is unusual trading volumes and insider trading that potentially could have taken place, because trading volumes were very, very, very unusual. And there were some hedge funds that looked like they had inside information based on what they bought right before the announcement of Digital World Acquisition Company saying that it was going to merge with Truth Social. So that's basically what you got going on there. And it kind of combines the three things that we always see in Trump companies, right? Criminal investigations and fraud, failing to pay bills, and kind of utter incompetence. All of those are in one right here with Digital World Acquisition Company. I mean, again, Trump is an idiot. He can't run a business. That's why all of his past businesses have went bankrupt. And if you've been following MeidasTouch Network, go back to just some of our podcasts also from when Digital World Acquisition Company first announced. The very first thing I said was, this reeks. I think that this is going to fail. Here's why. This looks kind of pump and dumpish to me. And I know there's going to be DOJ investigations. And that's kind of proven to be accurate. But again, with Donald Trump, that's not really all that hard to predict. So I don't want to give myself too much credit there. Make sure to hit the subscribe button right now. Support independent media. This has been Marcellus from the MeidasTouch Network signing off.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.